Good evening.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
We have a bargain.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Do you feel the pain? Well, let's see now. Pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
His entire work consists of violence, all the time, obsessed with the issue of violence. Mayhem, gouging out of eyes, autopsies on the stage.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Good evening, all. I hope you're well. This is episode 129 of Double Feature Horror Show. Deep in the depths of our History of Horror Anthology mega arc. Maybe even starting to come out the other side. Maybe. I don't know. We're in the movies of the 1990s, a very weird time for horror anthologies. I think it's fair to say we can't forget at this point that horror anthologies are still big on the TV. The Outer Limits, Tales from the Crypt, they are still going. Tales from the Dark Side, still going. But for some reason, in the realm of movies, gets a little quiet. We had some slim pickings. So you're getting quite an unusual selection this month. It's all about to kick off, though. The next time we get back to this, you're going to hit the big names that you know and love. But we aren't there yet. We aren't there yet. I will say hello to chat. Oh, so many regulars in chat. Good to see you. Hello, the Alabastard. Hello, Mr. Gently Benevolent. Hello, the Enriab. Baldwin, Dollface, and Maverick. Good to see you. Got nice and early. And Adam Loves Horror. Good to see you. I see you appreciated the homework. I'm glad to see that. That's great. We've got a Robert Robinson dropping a very early comment. If you are still around, sir, you've got some longevity. I hope you are. And Devontae in early. Good on you, man. Good to see you. This Devontae saying this movie is quite a shock for you to be doing. Yes, I am getting into that urban black culture stuff now. I'm down with that stuff, Devontae. As you can see, I even changed my name for this. I've gone with the A, not the ER in the name, just to be respectful. I'm so sorry about that. I kind of wanted to cover this for a while, actually. I'm so glad this fit into the arc. This was a pleasant surprise, I'm going to say. But before we go much further, it's not just me covering it. I'm joined, as ever, by the anthology expert, that is Murgoot.
Hey guys, how's it going?
You're not even resisting anthology expert now. You're just like, yeah, that is me.
You've batted it around for long enough. I'll take it.
At this point, I reckon we all are, aren't we? Come on. Chat. If you've stuck around for most of these, you absolutely count as anthology experts at this point. Oh, bless you. We do not have a TCG tonight. TCG is deep in the edit, deep in the real world stuff. We are sad to miss him. I was going to debut a new game tonight, but TCG isn't here, so we're not going to be able to do it. But I'll try and get that for you next week. You're going to love it. It is, or hate it. Either way, look, you're getting a game. You're getting a game show, and you're going to like it. All right? Don't complain. You know how this works. But you're safe until next week, so don't worry about it. But if you want a bit of TCG, he has, of course, been busy with his horror games, streaming The Quarry, so get in on that. Murgoot, I think you caught some of those, didn't you?
Yeah, he finished The Quarry last night, as a matter of fact. He finished it really late, like 12:30 your time.
Oh,
that's when he finished it.
Mega stream. I don't know how he does it. I'm knackered at 8 p.m. Murgoot. I'm just old though.
Yeah, well, hey. We all get there.
We do. I don't even have the chickens to blame it on. They get up at about 6:30 now. I see we've got Benny Finds Out and Creeper Weirdo. Hi, new names. I think kind of unfamiliar, but welcome to the chat. I hope you're going to enjoy this discussion. I'll do the usual shilling since we're on YouTube, and say that well, this is a platform, we want to get the word out, we want the channel to grow. The best way for you to do that is to interact with the video. That is the only way the algorithm knows what to do with this. So that means liking, it means leaving a comment ideally, subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. I know about 40% of the people who watch this aren't subscribed, including you lovely people on the replay. Check me out, actually remembering you this time and not forgetting like I do most weeks. Hello, replay people. Yeah, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you had trouble finding it, which story you enjoyed most. That all helps. It's all interesting for me to read, and it helps the channel grow. And of course, if you want to go a little bit beyond that, of course, it's very welcome. Super chats are open. You can also join as a member. If you join as a member, you get exclusive videos. You can do that on the Subscribe Star or on here. And the other thing that you, I'll point out that you get the early access. You also get things like the interesting video I dropped the other day, referring to some little Easter eggs about my appearance on Lotus Eaters. So, yeah, that's a little treat for anyone who's a member who can see what a little extra thing that was going on there. If you didn't catch that, I went on Lotus Eaters. I did an interview about the psychology of horror with some of the wonderful people who've been on this channel. So Josh, Harry, Connor, they're all on the panel as well. We had a good time. We had a good talk. And there is one more video with Lotus Eaters still to come out. And I'll let you know when that's out. That's all my shilling. Murgoot, anything for you, my good friend?
I'm just on Twitter at Murgoot. Geopolitics, humor, horror, science, and anything else that catches my eye.
Yes, you have a broad range, don't you?
I try.
Bless. I've just been asked to shill the Lotus Eaters convo, so I'm just going to grab that now. All right, I've got that for you. I'm going to drop that in the chat, but don't disappear at this point. That's in the chat now. Go on it. You can see 38 minutes of the convo for free, or if you want to purchase a conversation individually for about £1.80, or join as a member for £5 a month, you can see the whole thing. I'd recommend it. Lotus Eaters are good people. And they help me out, so I'd like to help them out. Anyway, I'll leave that there for you. And I think, shall we start discussing Tales from the Hood?
Certainly.
All right, fantastic. Well, this is from 1995, a bit of an oddity. You will know immediately what it is referring to. Is it Tales from the Dark Side? That I'm not making a bad comment there. That is a TV series, Tales from the Crypt. This was trying to take the anthology format and give it a black voice, give it the blaxploitation treatment, and give it a different angle. Sadly, they didn't go for the title Tales from the Crypt Keeper, but what can you do? I did warn you I was going to make that joke, Murgoot. Yeah. This is a bit of an oddity for us Brits. This is really hard to get. So if you're in Britain, you probably haven't heard of this. It was not widely promoted. You can't get it on Amazon in the UK. You can only get the sequels, weirdly enough. But I gather for Americans, it's a bit better known. Isn't that right, Murgoot?
Oh, yeah. Horror circles all know about it. It's talking to people about horror. if they're old enough, it's inevitably being brought up just because it's memorable. Let's just say that.
That it is. That it is.
So several quotes get repeated occasionally when you're talking about horror movies. I won't.
I'm trying to. What sticks in your mind? Are you able to say them on YouTube?
Not without severe editing, and the end line of the movie is the one you hear the most.
Fair play, fair play. Well, we are a respectful channel here, so unfortunately, none of us have our cards, our passes, so we can't do it. But bless you, if you are so fortunate to have a pass, you can repeat every line from this movie with abandon. You had an interesting tidbit about this, about who executive produced it and why this movie from 1995 looks so darn good.
Well, Spike Lee is the executive producer. His 40 Acres and a Mule company provided a lot of the money for the film. And he really liked the premise. And yeah, it is a bit preachy, but for the time, coming in between the Rodney King riots and the excuse me,
That's all right.
first cold of the winter,
Bless you.
and the LA Rampart Division police corruption scandal, which you informed me The Shield was based off of.
Yes.
It's entirely relevant for the urban communities, especially LA, New York, and Baltimore, which all had similar, if not as well publicized, police corruption cleanups. And
It's probably fair to say that it was such a hot button issue at the time. The commentary comes out a fair bit stronger, a fair bit less subtle than it would if you had a bit of distance.
yeah.
As I think we see with a lot of current issues now, when it's hot button, you don't tend to get subtle.
Oh no, this is not subtle by far, but it is a commentary on what exactly was going on at the time, and nobody who'd ever visited or lived in LA at the time could deny the cops in LA were too many were bad.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, I try and avoid the complexities of that discussion, let's say, but you can understand why it's a big issue. And I did get worried when I saw this first episode. I thought, have we got some early days like Spike Lee Unleashed? Have we got some early Jordan Peele style influence? But then this film really surprised me, because it's at no point is this film ever in danger of being subtle. Like, not a chance. But it impressed me in how broadly it sort of addressed its issues. Basically, what I'm trying to say, folks, if you worried that this was going to be a relentless extreme left polemic, you do not need to worry. This film impressed me quite a bit in its commentary. And that was quite a pleasant surprise.
Well, they kept it on point for urban issues and black issues, which was really impressive at the time. That's why it's such a good and well-remembered film.
Yeah, it's a higher caliber than you might expect, isn't it? I mean, this is something that the question we were asking ourselves throughout. In fact, let me get up a good example. Like, I've just saved this as gorgeous, right? So this is one of my screen caps. I just saved this. I messaged this to you, Murgoot. I was like, this film is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It's like, folks, I want you to think of like other stuff from the mid-90s that we've shown you. I want you to think of, say, Demon Knight from Tales from the Crypt. I want you to think of Tales from the Crypt, okay? It didn't look this good. This film is weirdly gorgeous. It is weirdly well shot. So I was wondering, what the heck is up with that? So I looked at the cinematographer, and it's a chap called Anthony Barry Richmond. I was like, where do we know that from? Well, he's an English cinematographer who worked with Nicholas Roeg on Don't Look Now and The Man Who Fell to Earth. And also Ravenous, which we've covered recently. Cherry Falls, which I might torment you with later. Don't worry about that one. And most importantly, Candyman from 1992. Only the best horror movie ever made. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, I think that's got to be the Spike Lee effect, right, Murgoot? That we've got Anthony Richmond in, a great cinematographer. We've also got one of the writer, or the co-writer, I should say, Darren Scott.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not a. I mean, he's not like a mega guy, but he's done some good stuff. He did so Menace to Society, fairly well done effort there.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, not no one.
Yeah, and the main director is Rusty Cundiff, who worked on Chappelle's Show for quite a while.
Oh, right.
So he's well regarded too. And
yeah, he did a varied career. I mean, I know he came back to this series after about 13 years. There's no, wait, more than that. Hang on, 20. I can't do maths. 23 years. Wasn't it? The sequel's 2018, isn't it? Am I wrong? Or is it 2013?
No, it's 2018. So that'd make it 12 years. So.
Hang on, this is 1995, so 23.
Oh no, I'm talking Chappelle Show still.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah, but the sequel, yeah.
Just to sorry to interrupt, but Dollface has been very generous, dropped £5. Says you need an edit of this film with subtitles in the style of that one gag with the black guys in an airplane. No, we don't. It was already like that. It's Clarence Williams III, isn't it?
Yes.
Like he's just doing that. He's having the best time. Oh wait, I've got an even better one of him. Oh, this guy was amazing. I loved him. I sent this through to you, just labeled Unbreakable.
Yeah, I told you I wouldn't be surprised if Shyamalan and Samuel L. Jackson used it as inspiration for Mr. Glass.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, why would you not? He's so memorable. I think it would be an amazing tribute. I thought sort of Samuel L. Jackson in Django Unchained channeled some of the like extreme energy of this. This guy is just having the best time in it. Adam Loves Horror has also, thank you very much, Dollface, much appreciated. The £5 is very welcome. And Adam Loves Horror is coming with $4.99 and a Candyman avatar that I will always comment on. Movie starts as a Jordan Peele film, ends the exact opposite of it. Yeah, pretty much. My worry is a load of people will have kind of rage quit it in the first story. It's like, no, you just have to hold on. If you the second story makes up for it, and it'll get you through number 3, and then the last one really balances it out. So I think it's very deliberate that it's kind of like a rage, then a calm, a rage, then a calm. They knew what they were doing. Devonte got in here. Where are we? Where are we? I just had to pick this up. Devonte knows exactly how to get my attention. Candyman is not the best horror film ever made. Maybe one of the best black horror movies ever made. Not the best overall. Oh, Devonte, how can you do this to me? Come on, you know what channel you're on. We love Tony Todd around here. I'm gonna need to know your best horror movie ever. I've got to know it. We should probably give a quick overview of this. Would you mind, Murgoot? Just the quick overall premise, and then we'll start breaking down those stories.
Certainly. 3 gangbangers, Stackball and Bulldog, arrive at the Mr. Sims funeral home, and they want to buy drugs that they heard Mr. Sims has found. And Mr. Sims lets them into the mortuary, and they come in and well, I can't say most of what they said. Family stream and all.
Family stream indeed.
They're insisting they want to purchase the drugs. And Mr. Sims says, yeah, sure. Follow me. And he takes them through the mortuary, and while they're wandering through, he opens the caskets one by one and explains the odd stories of the deaths of these people. The first is story Road Cop Revelation, where a rookie cop witnesses corrupt cops killing off an anti-corruption campaigner, and then what entails from there. And then, come on, take us to the drugs. And then he opens up a casket with a burned and mauled body. And it's basically about the stories about what happens to child abusers in the end. And then the third one is a Southern puppet, voodoo doll, basically, and explains the story of a candidate for governor's race in the South, and how he was involved with his campaign house legacy and what happened, that the doll is so important. And then takes them to fourth casket, where it's Crazy K, a gangbanger, who got shot up. And he explains that story, and how the cops, he went on a spree to try and go after his rivals and ends up getting shot himself, apparently by the cops. And then it wraps up with Mr. Sims revealing the 3 gangbangers who were trying to buy drugs off of him's fate.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes. Did this trying to removing the black element from it? It's the classic structure, isn't it? Absolute classic anthology
with the classic frame story around it.
Yes. I mean, I didn't. This is the first time I've seen it. You told me you've seen this a couple of times,
Yes.
and it does have rewatchability. But it's quite interesting that we saw Body Bags last week, which is almost the same framing story. It's someone going around corpses. In that case, it's in a morgue, not a mortuary, but very similar. Like, here's a corpse, here's how they met their fate. It's it's a bit of a classic premise. Yes, Dollface noticed that too.
Yeah, Mr. Sims' frame story actually holds up even better than Body Bags. This is an overall better frame story with its moral message, and just it hits harder. It's also far funnier.
It has a payoff. Bless it, Body Bags, in fairness, had to be very improvised to turn a cancelled TV pilot into a movie. So they did just think, okay, we'll have John Carpenter make as many terrible puns to the camera as possible, but it's not really a storyline. Whereas this very much is. This will take you back, folks. Remember our old Amicus stories. It's absolute classic. You go into a weird place. You have a guide who shows you around people or objects, tells you the story associated with them, and at the end, shocking revelation about the person who told you the stories. We've seen it over and over again, but frankly, I love it. It is just an absolute classic of the genre, and this delivers it well whilst giving it its own flavour, its own very intense flavour, which might be menthols. I'm not sure. Yeah, very good summary of it. Very good summary, Murgoot.
I try. I will tell you right now, I will be right back. The cold is catching up with me.
Bless you.
That. Muting now.
Yeah, bless you. Folks, I'll be muting plenty in this. It's, I don't know, somehow we have both ended up with colds. It's unfortunate. So you may have noticed that, okay, so this comes out in 1995, much better quality than it has any right to, thanks to the executive production. Weirdly, we sort of passed over it, but we do notice that 23 years later it gets a sequel, which is weird. Trying to think what else. We've had a few that have come back way after the original. I'm thinking sort of Blade Runner 2049, but 23 years has to be up there for sort of a record-breaking gap between the film and the sequel. It's got to be. Although I'll note that the absolutely abominable Candyman sequel came out longer. Candyman 1992, and then Jordan Peele's Candyman 2022. Although, while Murgoot's away, we'll just take a note that since we're talking about black horror this week, let's balance out this is going to be a positive review. Let's balance that out a bit by pouring one out for Nia DaCosta. Nia DaCosta is the director and co-writer of the 2022 Candyman. Come to think of it, is it 2021? I want to say 2022. Fact check me, chat. I was not a fan of that in any way. But Nia DaCosta, she did one junior film, then a couple of TV episodes, and she was given a bigger budget for Candyman, and then she was plucked by Marvel for unguessable reasons to helm what would it be now, $200 million budget superhero movie, The Marvels? Shocking. Unfortunately, Nia DaCosta, don't think it's going to come out well for her. I feel very bad for her if she hadn't come in and ruined Candyman. But anyway, there's also Devontae has got in there and said very rightly that Candyman does have sequels in the 90s, so it doesn't count. I guess so, but it was, I don't know, it's different. It's a different timeline, isn't it? It's different continuity. I'm going to be honest with you, Devontae. It took me 2 goes to get through Farewell to the Flesh, the first sequel, which I don't think was that bad, but it's just compared to the original. And I never made it. I've never even tried Day of the Dead, so I can't really comment on it. But I don't think Tony Todd himself was particularly proud of that one. We got a comment there. Doctor Sleep. Actually, there's a good shout. There is a good shout. Yeah, that would be quite a gap. Yeah. So Shining, 1980. Doctor Sleep, what, 2018? What was Doctor Sleep, chat? Let me know. Dollface has corrected me. It was Candyman 2021. My apologies for the confusion. I think it's because it was my 2021 Christmas special. I went on about Candyman for far too long. And I thought, oh, talking about Candyman for over an hour? What are you doing, you fool? And then the Scream 6 video is 2 hours and 47 minutes. So, you got off very lightly, folks, except the Scream 6 doesn't have any musical interludes. So.
I'm back. I had to go find a lozenge.
Oh, bless you. Bless you. We're talking about long gaps between originals and sequels. And I think the winner we have at the moment is 39 years between The Shining and Doctor Sleep.
Yeah, still haven't seen Doctor Sleep. So.
It's not terrible, but
okay.
I don't know.
I'll take
it's Mike Flanagan. There's some great cinematography in there, but the ending is, I would say, very bad. Very bad indeed. But I will try not to get too derailed too much. I think, Joe has been pointing out that very much like The Wire, a lot of the actors from this, shall we say, are kind of authentically cast. A lot of them, yes, very much from the hood themselves, and ended up with some fairly bad fates from that. So it's kind of a sad thing, really. You watch The Wire and then you see what happened. You see people like, what's her name? Felicia Pearson, who played Snoop, did not have a good fate in real life. But I say not a good fate. She killed someone. So he had a far worse fate than her. But anyway, I'll try not to get derailed into that. I've been baited to do a Wire stream for a while, and I've resisted so far. But gosh darn it. Let's get into the first story. I can take it if you want, or okay, cool. So we will go with this one. I know this will have got a whole bunch of you thinking, "Oh crikey, how am I going to get through these 97 minutes?" I don't blame you. But as we said, it's the film doesn't go the way you expect. So we see a young cop, a rookie, Clarence, who's the black cop in the middle there, being shown the ropes, and he comes across a stop where he sees a well-dressed black gentleman stopped, threatened, and then beaten. This guy has been, we learn, a campaigner. He's trying to shut down corrupt cops selling drugs in the city, but he is murdered in this encounter, and his death is made to look like he OD'd and then drove into the river. As such, he becomes a bit of an icon, of like a tragic campaigner icon. And our rookie cop feels overwhelmed with guilt. Basically, he's half threatened. He's basically threatened, cajoled to keep his mouth shut, and he does, but it gets to him. It drives him to drink, and he feels haunted by the ghost of the chap he saw murdered. So he's out drinking in the cemetery. His police buddies come up and basically try and move him on, mock him. And he says what they need to do is go to the chap's grave, pay the respects, and then it'll all be over with, basically. He won't try and expose them. And they say, you can't expose us. If you expose us, then then you basically incriminate yourself. But as we might have guessed, all is not well. At the gravesite, the cops are basically planning to now off Clarence, and they also decide they're going to urinate on the grave of the chap. It's not a sympathetic portrayal. The cops are absolute, one-dimensional. Yes. Joe has got where I was going to go there. Yes. There is a bit of a curse actor on the set, Michael Massey, who did indeed shoot Brandon Lee on the Crow set. Yes, he is. Now, I think, would that be a couple of years after this? Or was The Crow 1994? I'm trying to remember. It's pretty close to this. Michael Massey, you may recognize from Seven. He had a minor role in that. You probably recognize him more from, say, 24 in the first season, where he was in that a lot.
Yeah,
but,
The Crow was 94.
Mm. And Michael Massey, I think, was pretty haunted by that, and I don't think had a particularly good end himself. So I think a cursed one is probably quite a fair description there. Anyway, yes, they go to the grave, but the vengeful spirit of the activist rises up, grabs the officer by his, not quite by his truncheon, but something that was hanging low during the urination, pulls him to the grave, gets him in the coffin, eviscerates him, comes up, starts slaughtering them, and he's absolutely unkillable. I would call him more like a revenant, basically. He is just an unstoppable force. Zombie does not feel right. I want to say revenant. Like
Revenant's the closest.
Mm.
If he was a Viking, I'd say Drugar, but no, Revenant is the best description.
Mm. Yeah, the bullets do not work. Burning him doesn't work, actually. I mean, this was quite funny. He manages to get onto the car and decapitate one of the officers in the car, and Michael Massey gets out and shoots the car, and the car explodes. They did the meme. You do wonder about that. Like the tongue must have been quite in the cheek when they did the whole "I'm going to shoot the lights of the car and the car will blow up" thing. They were in on the joke, even in this.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. But again, this just looks so good. I had to pause this because it was so fantastic. Michael Massey, haunted by guilt, runs off, and this guy's still the Revenant is still chasing him.
Chases him into the crowd of the homeless.
Yeah, it is very in the hood. It is I mean, it looks like a movie set, really, like the classic wide alley with people heating themselves up by barrels that are full of fire. It's that classic thing. He's kind of confessing to his crimes as well, but the Revenant spirit basically levitates syringes, throws them at his back, and he ends up leaning against the street graffiti of a cross, and he's then crucified on that. You get some really inventive camera shots here, like when the syringe is flying into his mouth. You see a mouth cam from inside the mouth of the needle coming in. I thought that was great. That looks so good.
Yeah, the cop Massey melding into the wall. Into the graffiti.
I've got that for you.
Interesting concept, so but it wasn't. It didn't work for me, but once he became part of the painting, it did hold some power to it.
There is a thing about that. Like I liked the idea of that. The thing of how the sort of the thing on the street becomes a legend. It becomes literally the myth of the street. It gets incorporated into the artwork of the street. I thought that was, very nicely done.
It was a great idea. Just the special effects kind of let it down at first until he finally became the painting.
Are you saying that? What sort of vibe does it give you then in terms of a sort of effects fail? Like, are you thinking like Trauma style or not that bad?
Not Trauma style. A couple steps up from Trauma, but it's still. It took me out of things a little bit when I was watching it. But once it finished and he was part of the painting, then it hit. So it was effective, but it just kind of took me out of the movie for 3 seconds or so there.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit of the classic sort of 80s latex explosion sort of thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
It kind of, it's not exactly this, but in Terminator, like the getting the eye out, where it just becomes incredibly obvious when you've got a rubber Arnie head and when you've got the actual Arnie.
Yeah, but that was. Never mind.
It's fine. I quite liked it. I enjoyed how goofy it was, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dr. Prepper, yes. We did mention how absolutely over the top villainous the cops were. And I'd said it was my worry was that people would see that and think, oh gosh, this is Jordan Peele on steroids here. But you just got to stick through this first story, which, even as I'm complaining about it, we're finding things that are quite nicely done. Do not let it off for how one-dimensional it is, but there are nice touches even in this first story. But yes. Oh, where I got distracted with that.
Yeah.
Did you have anything you want to say on this? Because I've just gone off on one, and this. Sorry, I forgot the ending.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry. So again, to balance it out a bit, this story ends with Clarence, our little protagonist of the story, being confronted. Clarence is not let off the hook. Clarence is confronted by the Revenant as well, and basically told, you were guilty too. Why didn't you help? He isn't let off the hook. No solidarity there. I mean, he's allowed to live, but I guess the message is he has to live with it. And he ends up insane and in an asylum.
Yeah, asylum for the criminally insane. And he went crazy, killed 3 cops. To think he was a cop himself, and fade to the mortuary.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that stinger maybe wasn't... I liked that he wasn't let off, but I thought the sort of message of, they covered it up. I can see why that was in there, the implication that the system managed to cover it up and put all the blame on him.
Well, it's part of his punishment, though, too. So, they're not doing anything. And that crime guy with 2 pounds apologies for missing again. Here's money. And
money's nice. We like money. Thanks, TCG. Yeah, much appreciated. Sorry we can't have you here. Well, we miss you. We miss you on stream. And you missed a good movie. I know it's a bit of a pain to get your hands on in the UK, but this was fun, man. We're looking forward to seeing you next week. Hopefully you can make it. Actually, I should also say the other thing. If you want to see TCG, I can't make it this week, but he's doing the community quiz tomorrow, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. There we go, folks.
I'll be there on that one. It'll be on the main channel, That Crime Guy.
Excellent. Second dose of Murgoot and TCG on the community quiz tomorrow night. Always worth it. Always good fun. That'll be 9 p.m. tomorrow on TCG's channel. Highly recommended. Next week, I am in there. Oh, and also, T, I'm not going to get your comment up on screen because I am a family-friendly stream, but yes, that's exactly the quote that's in this one. Yeah, so yeah, I liked it. I liked that Clarence was not let off the hook. That was good, and it's also going to form a bit of a mini theme of the film, that a lot of the stories are going to have as a message speaking up, acting up, not being complacent. And you could kind of say, well, that's every story, dumbass. You know, that's the protagonist has a call to action. Do you even read Locke? Do you even read Joseph Campbell? Shush now. There are degrees of this thing. But that is the specific message that will come up over and over in these stories is don't be complacent. It is your duty to speak. And Clarence is punished in this for not speaking. Did I miss anything, Murgoot?
Not on this one. Not that I can think of.
Nice. All right. Then I will move us on to my favourite. Mr. Sims escorts them to the next corpse. And
he opens the casket and they all draw back and they're grossed out, to say the least. You don't really get to see it at first. And it fades to, he basically informs them that this is what happens when abusers are confronted, basically. It opens to a young boy. His mother tells him, you're going to a new school, we're doing this. And Walter's sent to school and introduced to the class. And after class, Mr. Garvey notices the bruises and pulls Walter aside and says, what's going on? He thinks it's bullies.
Because he does get attacked pretty much instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Walter says the bruises came after he was attacked by a monster. The next day or two, he shows up with a bruised arm and refuses to go out to recess. And Walter's drawing a picture of Tyrone and the monster. Mr. Garvey starts talking to him, and Walter says that he can get over Tyrone and the monster by destroying the picture of it. Walter crumples up the drawing of Tyrone, causing Tyrone to, Tyrone gets battered pretty hard.
I think they said he broke his arms and legs, from falling over. So pretty savage. I'm sorry for interrupting, but part of the reason I love this so much is that I got what they were getting at, straight away in this.
Mm-hmm.
The second he talked about the monster and people wouldn't believe, and the nurse being concerned, I was like, oh, broken home, he's getting abused by his stepdad. That's what I got straight away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just them communicating it so well.
Yeah.
There were minutes in and I was like, this is what you're doing. I get it. I felt very vindicated in this one.
Yeah. Later that night, Mr. Garvey visits Walter's house, and his mother, Sissy, opens the door and starts flirting with Mr. Garvey while the teacher is trying to explain what's going on. What?
Sorry, it's Dr. Prepper's comment.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that tickled me. I apologize. Sorry. Sorry, Mr. Garvey goes over to the house, and the mother Sissy is dressed in
Her bathrobe.
bathrobe. Yes.
Noir. And basically tells him, "Let me get dressed." She gets dressed. Mr. Garvey starts addressing things about what's happening to Walter, and she gets upset at Walter for basically tattletaling. It's do it on your own. And all the while, Sissy's kind of flirting with Mr. Garvey, making him more and more uncomfortable. And then you hear the door bang, and you hear Carl, the boyfriend, or stepfather. I don't know if it's really made sure. And it's, "Oh, hon, it's just Mr. Garvey. He came to check on Walter, and he's just leaving now." And they send Walter up to his room. It starts getting dark. And you notice that he's blocked the door with his furniture and his toys. And shadow starts coming through. Hand comes through. And the shadow is that of a clawed monster. And you don't know if it's Walter's imagination or not. The boyfriend or stepfather, David Allen Greer, I was so used to him being a comedian that he was rather effective in this role.
He really was. Devontae's clarified it's stepfather.
Yeah.
You know, funnily enough, the writer of this film, let me just confirm because I keep forgetting his name. It's that's it, Darren Scott. He wrote a film called a horror film, Stepfather 2. So it's interesting he did the stepfather horror again.
Yeah.
Also, this David Allen Greer guy, I loved how well, like, the dominance in the way he carries himself here was so good.
He
like,
starts. He sees the picture that Walter's drawn and starts beating on Walter. And then Sissy comes in and starts whipping her too. Garvey turns around and sees it silhouetted in the window of Carl just beating the ever-living crap out of him.
Oh, he's going hog wild.
Yeah. Garvey runs in and starts a fist fight with Carl, and they toss each other around. Carl knocks out Garvey, and then utterly almost kills Sissy just as much as he's beating on her. While Carl's beating on her, Walter grabs the drawing he made of the monster and begins to fold it into like a paper airplane, then just crumbles it. And Carl's body, this is one of the more effective ones. It's kind of goofy, but it is effective just watching Carl crumple into a ball. Just break.
They sold it very well, I thought. Like the first, like you've got the logic already, but when that first arm gets broken, I thought that looked really good.
Yeah. Mother Sissy stomps on the paper with her heel just to make sure he's dead. And then Garvey turns around, picks it up, lights the stove, and lets Walter drop it into the flame, and Carl goes up in smoke. And then back in the funeral home, the corpse is shown to the audience, and they close the casket, and a doll falls off the shelf. And I'll let you take it from there.
Oh,
But
that's grand. Thank you.
this was one of the more effective stories in it, just because everybody was dealing with child abuse, and it's effective. It really is. The fantasy of the boy being able to slay his own monster.
Is that effective as in like the scares were effective, or the story conveyed it well?
The story conveyed it very, very well. It wasn't that scary, but it was effective in getting across that you need to stand up for yourself, and it helps to have good teachers and good parents to help you out.
Yeah. I get the message again, speak up.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the first story, the message is speak up. Yeah. Yeah, big agree. Big agree. The story just conveyed the message very well. Every single one of these is preaching, but it conveyed that message super well, like the idea of the monster in the home, and knowing who it's likely to be. Like this, we've got to remember, like, this is written from the point of view of a black director wanting to tell black stories about the horrors in their lives, trying to get what he sees as the community's issues. So he is obviously, in the mid-90s, he's going to do something about police. He's going to do what you expect him to do. But for him to address a kind of abuse that is going on inside homes, inside a lot of broken homes, with the non-biological fathers coming in, as we know, basically the highest predictor of child abuse is having a non-biological father in the home. A very sad fact, but that's true. That's what is borne out. I thought it's brave of them to do it, and I like them for it. But I also I liked the way they conveyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, forgive me for playing this note over and over again, Murgoot, but the cinematography.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah. Very, very effective, setting the mood. The special effects were good in this one. And the actual special effect in the mortuary, where you see just the burned corpse, is just it was played somewhat for laughs, but it was creepy as hell.
Yeah, I mean, all of these, I think it's fair to say, are played for laughs. I can't quite put my finger on it, but in a way it doesn't feel like there's the ironic detachment in the way you would get from a Brian Yuzna movie. It doesn't feel like Evil Dead's comedy,
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like slightly different. I can't quite put my finger on it, why that vibe is off.
It's street humor.
I guess so, yeah.
It's street humor. It's not as forced.
It's like this decision, this could have been pure horror, this scene. And I felt they did the first break for horror. They did the leg break for horror. And you're like, oh, wow, this is getting nasty. But they also, even in that first arm break, I don't know if you noticed, I felt they underplayed the sound of the snap.
Mm-hmm.
So, that could have been a horrible cracking sound, but it was quite light on the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to just diminish it a little bit, and then you end up in this, which is already kind of comic. It's weird. I mentioned Brian Yuzna, but any fans of his film Society in here? Getting a little flashback here, maybe? It's got a little bit of that vibe, hasn't it?
Well, did you watch it in the HD remix, or did you watch it in standard definition?
I've got it in 720, so I think that would be an HD. Although it's a low-end HD, it's not like
Yeah.
1080p.
Yeah. Because that's the one I saw, so...
It looks good. I could understand it would be better. I thought 720 would probably do all right. But yeah. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Joe, yes. Sadly, yes, broken homes lead to broken homes. You're not wrong. Very sad to say. But it's true. Oh, also, Adam Loves Horror. Thank you again. 199. Thank you. Yes, they did the Monster Mash. But in fairness, it was a graveyard smash. And it caught on in a flash. Right? Ooh. Dollface, I knew you would be I knew you'd be a Yuzna fan. I'm on the hook. Are we going to do Necronomicon? Are we going to fit that in? I think we might try. Okay. Sorry, I just know that because Dollface likes Stuart Gordon, and therefore I can connect the two quite quickly. Yeah. How do you think, just to stick on this a little bit longer, like, do you think the sort of how do you think the story's impacted by us seeing that the young child whose name I'm sorry to say I've immediately forgotten, Walter, thank you, never remember anyone's name. How do you feel the story is affected by Walter, like, being shown to have this kind of voodoo power, I guess, this extra ability with the drawings?
Interesting twist. I was kind of surprised that it came out as quickly as it did with Tyrone, but as soon as that was shown, it's okay. I know where this is going. The stepfather made it apparent, but oh god, bad pun, unintentional. Sorry. But
never apologize for puns on this channel. They're all welcome.
It's the stepfather was one clue, but as soon as he crumpled up the picture of Tyrone, it's okay. I know how this is going to end, but they carried it off well. They carried it off very well. And I have to say the brain fart. The practical special effects in this were very good. They spent quite a bit of their budget on this, doing it right.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I think it's a fair comment. They don't. It probably helps because they don't drag it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it were a long film, I think like the typical thing would be they show him trying to do it to Tyrone, and then it doesn't really work because, like, he doesn't believe in himself. But it's in this crucial moment he manages to make it work. I think would probably be the more typical screenwriter tactic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it moves so fast that you don't really worry about that. You don't feel cheated. Like, this is a short story. This is very zippy in how fast it goes by. So
they kept the pace right. It kept it kept the shocks coming. And,
absolutely,
which is a good thing.
I think I've been too positive. I feel a duty to point out that the fighting was quite amateur.
It
was a little bit of a drama school slap fight. I've got to balance out. I've been too positive about it, Murgoot. I've got to nitpick.
Then again, if you've ever been basically in if you've ever seen a drunken fist fight, that's about what they look like, unless one of the guys is trained. Fair.
Fair. All right. But yeah, that's all I had to do on this. I thought very good decision to be very minimal on what we see of the monster. Oh, actually, I did have one other criticism, which was just this unfortunate shot where you find out that the step. I don't know if you picked up on it, Murgoot, right? I don't know if
The
you picked up
monster
on it.
tattoo.
Yeah. You see, the stepdad was the monster. Do you get it? Do you get it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case you don't, here's the tattoo. Yeah, that annoyed me.
I thought the shadow with the claws kind of made that point. They really didn't need that.
Yeah, absolute overkill. It's not going to be the first time I ever complained about tattoos in this movie, but we'll get onto that later. All right. But yeah, I liked this one. This after the first, this really hooked me in. This made me rather engaged with the story, so I was chuffed with it. But as you said, at the end we return to the wonderful world of Mr. Sims, and he's got a little friend with him here. This guy, the doll. Oh, bless. Okay. But what did they call this one? Oh, yeah. This is why I got worried. This story is called Apologies, YouTube algorithm. It's called KKK Comeuppance. And we'll get into it now. So it opens. Oh dear. Yeah, I was just complaining about the lack of subtlety in that tattoo, and then this is what we're going to get in this story. What's a uniform in that painting in the background, Murgoot? What is it?
That is, well, that's a Confederate uniform.
So it is. So it is. Okay. Somewhat inevitably, if disappointingly, the film starts to talk about the pain of slavery. We get it's not even coded. The film just outright says he's a politician with links in the KKK. This is Duke Metzger, whose name is derived from two clan-associated people, obviously David Duke and is it Ron Metzger?
I believe so.
You'll have to forgive me. My knowledge of that side of things is rather weak because, obviously, I'm a good channel. But very unsubtly, he's talking about. He opens with a campaign ad that he's running by his campaign manager. Fans of The Wire. Does this remind you of season 3? Yeah, Tommy Carcetti and his manager, who he's hired to make sure he can get through to the demographic who would otherwise not vote for him. I got big Tommy Carcetti vibes here. Who's the guy who played the? I can't look it up. Anyway, amazing actor. Turns up in everything. He was in American Psycho as well. Anyway, I won't get distracted. I'm not going to look him up, but chat, you are free to. He has an ad that he's running campaigning against affirmative action, saying that effectively it is just legalized discrimination. This is meant to be self-evidently evil. I think maybe I'll go for a no comment, but yeah. It's interesting that the film portrays it as self-evidently evil, but he would object to institutionalized discrimination. Now in 2023, when you see sort of how far that goes at so many institutions, I mean, I can only speak for Britain, but it's quite the plague in Britain. It's quite grim to go for jobs and just see that they openly say you can't go for them. It's a bit demoralizing, I'll be honest. So unfortunately, this attempt to demonize him didn't really work for me now. Because whilst it looked a little bit like scaremongering back then, unfortunately, all this time later, he's on the money. Anyway, he's demonized quite hefty. consistently throughout this, there is a crowd permanently protesting who he describes in terms I couldn't really use on YouTube. But let's just say he's not a fan of them. He's being protested by racial activists on the lawn. Interestingly, they go all the way out. They really go out the way to point out that it is a Jewish and black coalition agitating against him, which I thought was really quite on the nose for them to bring that in. And it possibly, there is, how can I say, like most of the protest against him is just coming from the black angle. So it seemed odd for them to like specify there's a Jewish group as well, but I'm guessing because they're linking him to the Klan, that's why they're doing that. But the line, it is a little weird.
Yeah.
So he is. There's also a shot later in the film that I can't make out, but maybe it has something related to that. But you can tell me if I'm seeing things.
Mm-hmm.
He is strategizing with his campaign manager how he gets elected, how he gets past these agitations, because he knows the media is basically going to go for him because of his connections with the Klan. He's pretty one note, to be honest. The campaign manager is more interesting because he's, a guy who is basically just doing it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really
10,000 a day is what's mentioned.
Yeah. Was it 10,000? I thought it was 10,000 a week, which
10,000 a week. You're right.
Yeah. Pretty good money. Pretty good money. Again, I'm reminded of The Wire. So they're practicing his defenses against the entirely fair media. Again, this is meant to bias us against him. Maybe I'm incurably bigoted. I don't know, but it's like, yes, the media are awful. We know this. Good. I like this guy already. What can I say? They have such an interesting dynamic. In fact, in the way that they are both, they're trading some fairly spicy jokes, and it just makes their dynamic really interesting. But in the midst of this, they get they drop some of the history about why they're particularly annoyed at him being in this house. It used to be a plantation, and it also used to be the site basically of a massacre, a mass lynching, one of the biggest lynchings ever. Hundreds were lynched, right? 12 on one single tree. And I thought that's
what was said.
I mean, did that line stand out to you? It's like weird.
It's, well, in the South, there's some big old trees.
True. I guess so. Like, I'm not trying to be, okay, I'm not trying to be spicy here. I'm not trying to be edgy. I thought that seemed weird. Like hundreds seemed odd to me. Like,
yeah.
It
must have taken a while.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. So I just looked up biggest lynchings. There was the 1871 was one of the biggest from what I can tell. And that was, oh, darn it, I've lost the point. I've lost the bit. Hang on. Oh, dear. Hang on. 18. So that one of the worst lynchings in US history, the 1871 Chinese massacre, that was 18. Then there was the 1891, which was a lynching of Italian Americans, and that was, I think, just over 20. Where's my link? I cannot find. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that was just over 20 Italian Americans. Like the big events you may have heard of, like the Tulsa riot, that was over one non-lynching that turned into a wider fight. I'm like, again, I'm not trying to be super spicy, genuinely. I was just, a lynching of hundreds sounds weird to me. Like the number is just not matching anything I've heard before. And it seemed like kind of a crazy exaggeration.
Yeah,
Like
the Inriebs brought up some good trivia about the dolls in this.
Oh,
Um,
oh!
they were
Before we
reused in
get
Team America, and Shoto Brothers also did Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which you guys ought to do for humor horror.
I saw that, and I was like, oh gosh, that's good. Maybe we can spot that. I should get back just quickly to Dollface comment. Thank you, Dollface, for the £2. Thank you. Duke feels like one of the victims in Last Supper, very much so. Kind of like the first guy, right? The guy who just, well, maybe not the first guy. The first victim that they had just was basically giving them. It was like Pol materialized and just took off all the filters. But yeah, some of the later victims, maybe. I don't know if you. I'm assuming you saw it, Dollface, but we actually did do a stream on the Last Supper on this channel. A bit of a rare stream, bit of a special one. If you're interested in that, so you can find that. So again, like as I said, I'm not trying to be edgy, but it struck me as a really weird exaggeration. And it's like, you don't need to tell me it was hundreds if you're just stuck to like the 12 in the tree. That that's pretty grim.
Yeah.
You don't need to make it 100. You don't. When you exaggerate the numbers, it just sort of makes it all sound a bit ridiculous. I should probably move off this territory here before it gets excitable. But it was just a weird point in a script where they're already kind of overplaying everything, But yeah, so anyway, that point has been made. Basically, the house had the history of the plantation, and the former owner made dolls to retain the souls of the poor slaves who were killed.
It was his lady servant.
Oh, sorry, the lady servant. Thank you very much. Yes, misspoke there. Misspoke badly. The lady servant makes the dolls. She has a creepy looking mural on the wall. It is effectively creepy. But they can't find these dolls. So they go out onto the lobby to practice media relations. And unfortunately, while they're doing that, his assistant there, his campaign advisor, trips over one of the dolls, falls down the stairs, and breaks his neck. It's a bit sudden and a bit nasty, and causes quite the furore. It also gets one of the best jokes in the film, I thought. He has a line about, I'm going to have to be careful here. I'm sure you know the one I mean. Folks, if you didn't manage the horror homework, you're going to miss out here. It's a joke that YouTube wouldn't approve of, but his campaign manager is talking to him, and he has a line about, let's see, the spooks he's afraid of. He makes a joke I can't repeat on here. When he is then talking to the journalists outside after his campaign manager dies, he sort of and I should specify, it's a campaign manager who makes the off-color joke, or even the of-color joke, if you will. He starts repeating the guy's joke, and then catches himself, and then says, "The only spooks I'm afraid of are
journalists,
spooky journalists." It was so good. Yeah,
Corbin Burnson was having so much fun just chewing the scenery on this.
Wouldn't you? Look, the message in this was a bit annoying, but gosh darn it, everyone was having a great time.
Well, if you're going to go over the top, go over the top.
Oh, he really does. Absolute scenery chewing. But he reviews a tape afterwards, and he notices the creepy little doll in it. And as you might predict, the doll comes back for him. He manages to fight it off. He can defeat one, but as we'd been forewarned, there are many of them. And
Well, as they start appearing, they disappear from the mural.
yeah, I just want to pick up on one weird thing, so you can tell me if I'm crazy on this before we get into the gory part. I paused this, folks. This has no impact on the story. I just noticed it, and it was weird to me. Murgoot, what do you see on the desk? What's the thing on the left? On his desk?
That looks like either. Let me see. That looks like a horn.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, is it a lamp? Have they cut it off? But I don't think it's a lamp. So I thought it's a horn. More specifically, I wondered if it was a shofar. Like the Jewish ritual icon. He would blow it at Rosh Hashanah.
No, because it is a lamp, but if it's from that part of the country, it's probably a cow horn, or maybe it's a tusk, short tusk. But I think Adam Loves Horror is right. It is a tusk.
A tusk. Okay.
Old antique.
To me it looked like a shofar, but I thought, why would he have that?
Nah.
And I just found that really weird. I was fascinated by it. I was overthinking a lot of this. Like, I was overthinking. You see that chess set?
Mm-hmm.
You notice how there are no black pieces on it? Dun, dun, dun.
There's clear and there's tan.
Yeah. So I was wondering, is that the message? Like, if you're black, you're basically, there is no winning side. There's no one for you. You're excluded from the game.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, I can read far too much into this stuff. It just interested me. Like, why did they go out of their way to have a chess set that doesn't have black pieces on it? So I overthink this stuff, folks. All right. Okay. Well, Mima is saying not. Mima doesn't think it's a shofar.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're leaning tusk. We're going to lean with the tusk here. All right. Okay. We'll move on from this. Like I said, folks, this just distracted me far more than it should have. But it just got me wondering. Yeah, he's attacked by one of these dolls. He tries to chuck it away at first, but it comes back. And it's a nasty looking little thing. It's great. They give it two different facial expressions, and it was a nightmare to get a screen cap where it wasn't blurred because it is moving around a lot. Who did the Enriab got there? Yes, big Zuni doll energy, basically. For people who remember our trilogy of terror stream, and the unbeaten victory of the Zuni doll, who was the best thing in that whole movie. Yeah, he just like me, for real. No cap, my friend. Yes. Oh, hang on. Mima, are you actually speaking with authority here? Excellent. Well done. Good. Wait, are you saying I am? I don't know. I'm just a fan. That's all. I'd like it if we actually got someone in to give a categorical verdict on something that basically has no impact on the film, but just really distracted me. Apologies. Shoffergate is over. All right. Tuskgate is done. We're shutting it down. Yeah, the doll gets in. He gets a good bite in. It's quite nasty. Okay, Mima, I lean to your expertise on that one. So, but as we know, these things, you cannot kill them. It's got the soul of a very angry slave in it, but when they resurrect, they disappear. They disappear from the... where are we? From the mural. Oh, I've lost it. Apologies, folks. I've got to find it.
Adam loves horror. If little Penny was buried in Pet Cemetery.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Adam Loves Horror. Very generous of you tonight. Much appreciated. I don't know who Little Penny is. I'm sorry, I'm British.
One of the actors.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry that it's lost on me, I'm afraid.
Basketball reference, according to Adam Loves Horror.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Much appreciated. Well, thank you for the $1.99. It's just the reference I don't get.
Excuse me again.
Oh, bless you. No, I'm feeling that, Murgoot. Bless your heart. So as we were saying, there's a dynamic formed where when the doll is activated, it disappears from the mural, and this was, you know exactly where it's going, which allows you. It just helps it work. You notice when they're missing. You notice the potential for more and more of them to be activated. It's pretty great stuff. In a panic, by the way, in trying to defend himself, he absolutely fumbles with the shotgun in an absolutely infuriating way. Drove me a bit mad, to be honest. You remember when he was just dropping all the shells everywhere? Oh dear. Classic fumble. Anyway, he ultimately retreats, found his way, locks himself in the room, and when he does, you suddenly see this mural, not with one, not with 5 gone, but all of them gone, and then suddenly there is a horde, an absolute horde of them activated. This would have been a nightmare to do. I have not got the screen cap for you because it's kind of... I haven't said it for a while, but I kind of have a what I call the money shot policy. Like, if the film really builds up to a kind of bravura image, I try not to show it because I feel like it has to be seen in the film with all the build up to it. So I try not to show the big shots in here, but it was impressive. They will have struggled with it. They will have put so much effort into doing these stop motion dolls, and dozens of them. I think the most we saw individually animated was about 6 charging him, but there were certain overlays, so they got it looking more effective. And he was getting swarmed. He was getting, how can I say? They're only able to do small bites, but 40 of them can really do a lot of damage, and they're just seeing him kind of like this weird satire of one of the final deaths in Day of the Dead, where the guy's just getting torn to pieces. It was like that. He is swarmed. He's getting bitten 40 times per second. Them all taking bites on him, and he becomes a bloody mess. It is quite effective. As Murgoot says, the dolls dispersing from the mural was a very clever way of raising tension. Yeah, you start to see them like bullets in the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've seen a couple go, you're like, okay, where are the other 50? And they turn up. How did you like that scene?
It was effective. It was kind of goofy, but it was effective. Dolls are goofy, but they're creepy as hell.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. And the stop motion as well. How'd that work for you? Because normally I think they'd have gone for just puppetry, but this one they did stop motion animation for it.
I think it would be. This was actually more effective in some ways than just sheer puppetry, just because it raised the creepiness, just the jostling movements, and
yeah, they had that sort of do you think it's fair to say like there was an uncanny valley effect to the movement? Because they have smooth movement, but it's just your brain knows it's a bit wrong.
Yeah, and that's what makes it creepier than just sheer puppetry. It's more effective this way, I think.
Yeah. And of course, as we would probably expect, ultimately the old lady, the old housekeeper, she materializes as well. She disappears from the mural, gets whited out, and then she just watches approvingly as he's torn to pieces. And her expression is just... How do you describe it, Murgoot?
Content.
Yeah, the satisfaction isn't there.
Yeah. It's putting that to rest.
There's something about it. Again, the message, act up, it's rise up, it's take direct action. The film is a call to action in many ways. In this case, they're going against basically a boogeyman. Not exactly subtle, but then it hasn't really made its villains subtle in any case.
Yes, ma'am. It's over the top, but it actually works being over the top as a morality play.
Yeah. Every single one of these, as you said, I think goofy is a nice word for it. Like, they deliberately throw the goofy in.
Yeah, it's... No, I won't say that.
Okay.
But yeah, this is definitely one that... yeah, I won't say that either.
We're all being very careful. Like, we can't quote anything he says in the second half of this story. He starts...
Yeah.
The guy, he is just in the second half when the doll is going for him. He is just sounding off like a Call of Duty lobby. It's... And I just get the feel like he's getting to be creative with it. I cannot say any of the things he says. Genuinely, the channel would go down. But I feel like he was told to improvise. He was told to throw jokes. Like, he is using extremely racist language, but he's also being told to joke about it. It was, yes, Dr. Prepper. That's the one I'm thinking of. It's... I don't think he'd be allowed to... Well, he wouldn't be allowed to do it today, but they were clearly having a joke with it. It's a weird scene. I think that thing of... There's always a layer of irony in all of this. Always, like, every single one of these, there's a layer of irony in it that just... Usually by just keeping it a little bit goofy, but they're always telling you that they're kind of in on the joke, that they are enjoying being over the top constantly.
And that's actually what makes this film great, is it's got a serious message, but they don't take themselves seriously. The cast and crew don't take themselves seriously, but the message still comes through well.
Yeah, like Jordan Peele, take note, gosh darn it. He does comedy well, but he's still always taking it darn seriously.
Yeah.
Increasingly seriously, that the comedy sort of drops out of there to his detriment.
Yes, Memer the Lemur, it's like attempting to talk about Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, exactly. You can sympathize. We're like trying to balance talking about the movie in a neutral way with the YouTube code. I mean, you'll remember there was that one Lovecraft story we read out, and they only demonetized me for that. Yeah, Lovecraft couldn't even write an essay about cats and dogs without dropping a little N-bomb in there. So when we had to read Rats in the Walls, then I think that was the one where we just ended up changing the cat's name just so the stream could stay up, unfortunately, because otherwise he dropped a rather special word, I think 19 times in that story.
Yeah,
Oh, dear.
Lovecraft's cat Gotta love him, gotta hate him.
Anyway, that was the end of KKK Comeuppance, which moves us on to story number 4.
Hardcore Convert.
That's the one. This is the story. This just went in a place I absolutely did not expect. This was the story that threw me off completely.
Yeah.
But over to you, Murgoot, please.
Okay. It fades over. The gangbangers are getting antsy. They want their drugs. They're giving Mr. Sims a lot of crap for just spinning stories. One of the gangbangers, Ball, sees a corpse in another room and gets the other two to go and see it. Sims asks, well, do you know him? And, he was just someone we saw around the neighborhood. And then Mr. Sims spins off into Hardcore Convert. What were you saying?
I liked the subtlety of that, like the way that the more hard. I'm afraid I didn't pick up any of their names, but there's a chap with the what do you call it? The type of what do you call it? Like a head tie.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of thing Tupac always wore.
The bandana.
Yeah, thank you. He's got that in the Tupac style, like that guy. He's always a bit more hardcore than the others. He's always more straight down to business, whereas the other two are a lot more jokey. And you see one of them is affected, sees this guy, sees Crazy K, and then just says, yeah, we knew him. And he's shocked. And then the guy with the bandana is just like, no, he was just a fellow that was around the block, like really distancing, really shutting it down. I thought that was quite nice. Nice touch.
Yeah. When Hardcore Convert starts, Crazy K is driving down the street when he sees a rival, opens up on him, starts firing at him. His rival's name is Little Deke. Little Deke gets shot down, and then 3 of his fellow gang members come out of the house and start shooting at Crazy K. And they shoot him. Crazy K falls to the ground. The cops have arrived. They start shooting, and they run off, and the cops shoot Crazy K. And then it cuts over to the prison where Crazy K is, and he's given an offer to be reformed by what's her name? Rosalind Cash is
Dr. Cushing.
Dr. Cushing.
An amazing name, if I do say so myself.
It's 4 years later. Dr. Cushing arrives at Crazy K's prison cell, transfers him to her facility to get him reformed in an experimental trial. He gets dragged down, and for some reason, all of Dr. Cushing's assistants are in skin-tight uniforms. Which I
Best
thought,
part of the film.
Yeah, eye candy. He gets thrown into a cage next door to a white supremacist who wants to start the race war and kill all the blacks he can find, except for those who fit what the white supremacist group wants them to do, which is kill other blacks.
There's some of his
Crazy K's
tattoos
like,
there for people to enjoy.
yeah, Crazy K punches him in the face. I ain't doing that. And how many black victims have you killed? You're doing good. And tells him there are a few black people who will be spared. Crazy K is taken by Dr. Cushing and told that he was put in there so he could talk to huge racists to see what's what in the world. And then tells him this is a government facility, and he's told if he fails to redeem himself, he'll rot in hell. Or rot in prison, rather. But Crazy K's led down to the lab, and it's basically Frankenstein's monster meets an industrial rock stage. Basically,
It's weird. They put money into it as well. They put a lot of money in.
I think
they also
just
have
ransacked Universal's lot for all the mad scientist stuff because they have the works, and he's put onto a iron table which looks like something straight out of the 19th century.
Oh, I've got an image of that there. They spin him round. It just rotates. I think we might call it a Jay-Z Susan, if you will.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah.
You had that one lined up, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
And he's shown images of lynchings, KKK meetings, killings, and told to basically to try and get him to sympathize and repent. And then she puts him into what looks like an electric chair and dunks him into a sensory deprivation tank. And he's confronted by all the people that he's killed, and including friends and children. And he just spits out that, no, I'm not responsible. It's this, it's that, it's how I was raised, how the cops are, and da-da-da-da-da. And he goes on, and Dr. Cushing warns him that this is his last chance. And Crazy K's transported back to the moment he's shot. And this time, instead of being shot by the cops, he's shot by 3 gangbangers who leave his corpse in the street. And then it switches over to the mortuary. The gangbangers, Stack, Ball, and Bulldog, yeah, that's their names, are revealed to be Crazy K's executioners. The dealers freak out and start threatening Sims, and they're freaked out because he knows their crime, and give him their drugs or they'll kill him. And Sims leads them down into the basement, and they're kind of freaking out. He turns on the light, and there's 3 caskets. Well, what you want is in these caskets. Each one, they open the caskets, and there's their corpses. and then Sims tells them that they were offed by Crazy K's associates, and they're like, "How can we be dead if we're standing here?" And Sims tells them that the funeral home is actually hell, and transforms into the devil. And then
Sorry, I just got big like Futurama. Like, why should I believe you when you're Hitler vibes?
yeah, and then the ultimate line: "This ain't no funeral home. It ain't the Terror Dome neither. Welcome to hell, mother effers."
Delivered.
It's revealed that they're in hell and burning.
Yeah, some of the effects get a little janky there, but the line "Welcome to hell, melon farmers" is delivered with such panache. There's a lot in that story. There's a heck of a lot in that story to unpick.
Do you have a picture of Mr. Sims right as he's saying that, right before he transforms?
Tell you what, do I have that? Oh, hang on. Let me get that up for you. Oh, just because I didn't actually have it, but I will get one for you. I just love that line with the weird little tongue as well. There we go. I've got it. I've got a version of it for you. There we are. Well, okay, I'll make that large. Some of the visuals in this we have been very approving of. For this visual, I will remind you all that this was 1995, but let's get that up for you. Yes. CGI tongue making the best of his tooth gap. This man just absolute champion of the entire film. I love it so much.
Yeah.
A heck of a lot to unpack in this one, Murgoot.
Yeah. Yes, Dr. Prepper, imagine if Samuel L. Jackson had done it, but I think Clarence Williams is more effective just because he's far more eccentric looking. He pulled off the part a lot better.
You know, something we didn't mention in the second story, I'm sorry to go back to it, but we did have a director cameo that we didn't acknowledge. The teacher, Mr. Garvey, is the director. I completely forgot to mention it, but yeah, sorry, apologies. The teacher was the director in this. It's quite interesting. He did a good job in that, apart from the fist fight. So I don't know where to start on the story, but well, let me pitch it again. It's not perfect, but it's a lot closer towards the balance that I was talking about. And yes, this does sound like a bit of an Adam and Sitch point. I'm trying not to make an Adam and Sitch point, guys, but let me just say, would you rather have a film that went full Jordan Peele endless leftism, or would you rather have a film that came from a perspective you may not share, but still was a bit off message, was talking about things it cared about, some of which you're more inclined to agree with, some of which you're more inclined to disagree with? You know, I think we would all prefer a more original vision, that some of which we appreciate. I think that's maybe a fair way to say it.
Yeah, and this is what everybody was caring about. Even from the outside, they could see the problems in black urban areas. The corrupt cops were a horrible problem. Child abuse, and it wasn't just limited to talking about the black neighborhoods, so it hit everybody there. Gangbangers everywhere. It was near the end of the height of the Crips versus Bloods rivalry, and it's a bit over the top. Well, it's a lot over the top, but it is a good morality tale that hit hard for for the youth and for especially people in urban areas.
It's very good for not 100, and I'd say it. T there has said it's the difference between 1995 and now, and I think that's pretty fair. In that, all films of this nature that I can think of didn't entirely externalize the problems the community was facing. So if we go to The Corner, if we go to The Wire, I know The Wire wasn't made in 1995. If we talk about Boys in the Hood, we are talking about films which talk about a very troubled community, but do not place the blame entirely external to it. You think that's fair to say, Murgoot?
Oh yeah, it's everything that was talked about on the news and gangster rap in just in general, talking about what to do about the cities, how to help. It wasn't about gimme, gimme, gimme. It was what do we do to fix this?
Yeah, they're very aware of problems that were in-house, and for my little area of the diversity bundle, the old sort of rainbow side of things, that was a similar community. It was very reluctant to talk about probably still is very reluctant to talk about the problems in-house, so it is nice when you see it. So for this to talk about like the big problem, you might be concerned about the cops and all. You might be concerned about the very rare chap with the tattoos with fruity symbols on them. But the bigger problem is far more humdrum. And I in a way, I'm quite mixed on the decision to... It depends exactly what they're trying to get at, but I thought the whole... If you read it as trying to say, you need to stop the gang life because you're behaving like the Klan guy, that's a very bad point, but I don't think that's what they were going for.
It is and it isn't, because that was one of the things that I witnessed people throw back at people at gangbangers, at people who wanted to be in that life. And it's, think about what you're doing. You're acting just like the people you say you hate.
Yeah. You can, say they're trying to keep you down, say they're the threat, but like the phone calls coming from inside the house. Sorry to say, interrupt. Marina, member comment being dropped there. Yes, good gal. That is the membership level. Never noticed that before. Well, there are several levels, but you claim yours with pride. Drop the member. What are they called? Not emojis, not member emojis, but what do you call them? The special things you can drop as a member? I'm such a Luddite. Are they emojis? Stickers. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, those as a member as well. Enjoy them. Take full advantage, members. Enjoy the member chats. Yeah, so you saw that point being thrown back then, Murgoot?
Yes.
I can imagine
It's... I mean... I lived through that era, and it was very, very different from now. People were actually talking about responsibility at that time, which, as over the top as it could be, they were actually talking about it. So
that's it. Yeah. Excellent. Sorry, people have started dropping the things that I was thinking of. Those are the ones I'm thinking of, T. I hope that's showing up on stream okay. Yeah, there was a bit that really reminded me of a episode from The Wire. I don't know how much you've seen of that, Murgoot, if you've seen The Wire.
I've seen a little bit of The Wire. I saw a lot more of The Shield.
Ah, okay. Do you remember one of the victims that they have is a little girl who was just killed when a bullet went through a wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a moment like that in, I want to say, sort of season 3 of The Wire. It really made me think of that, and I thought, oh, that. I know this film aims to be goofy, but you know that. Ooh, I found that quite effective.
Yes.
Yeah, like atypically effective for this film. It felt like just quite a straight, hard-hitting bit of grimness.
Yeah, a lot of the cop shows and a lot of the crime shows on TV at the time used that because that was getting so common in drive-bys that innocent people in houses were getting hit by stray bullets. And it is they bring it up because it is so effective. So many kids were actually dying that way. Yeah.
Extremely heartbreaking. Just people who weren't even playing the game, but are just getting caught out. I mean, you notice the guy the first guy he nuked was just someone who he thought was shorting him, but didn't know. And the guy he first goes up to shoot was someone who had simply just been speaking in a way he didn't like. It was. Forgive me, folks, I try and be family friendly, but he just walks up to the first guy and says, what was you talking all that shit for?
Yeah.
And so it's literally just words. It's literally just gossip that he's killing people for. And the end, when he's seeing all these folk that he offed, you see what terrible reasons they are.
Yeah.
How petty it is.
Yeah.
And was your interpretation of it that sorry, actually I should probably stick on that a little bit more. I think they aren't making the weaker point, like, don't do it because that's like the Klan. Hey, you're just being like the Klan. But it's more the thing you're afraid of, the thing you're hating. How are you that different? It's a small distinction.
Yeah,
it's like you're a worse threat than that, basically.
Yeah, basically that's what I was seeing. That's why number 4 hit so hard. I mean, they went over the top, and then it came down to take responsibility for your own actions. And nope. I'd rather serve my time, and he ends up in hell.
So is your interpretation that this might sound like a daft question. Is your interpretation that the thing offered to him was actually literally a time machine?
A bit of reconciliation, maybe not redemption, but take acceptance of his sins rather than just denying it and putting it off on everybody else. Will he repent or not?
Okay. I just wasn't sure if you were saying, like, if he had accepted it, then he'd have been allowed, but since he didn't, scientists literally like pushed a button and sent him back to be killed.
Yeah. He didn't repent, so he was sent back to the prison of hell.
I mean, they did make use of that really weird set. But I almost wonder, because in a way it was so goofy, like, especially I'm thinking the assistants in their like 1960s sci-fi dresses. It almost made me think, like, was that just all in his head?
I don't know. I really don't, because that was just over the top. But I saw that again, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about those. The latex dresses.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's something in both this one, the fourth story, and the first story that there's a kind of weird, like janky sci-fi angle to it that they don't make a big deal of. But you do notice, like the Revenant, when his chest is taken apart, he's got this sort of reanimator green fluid in him. Like they don't do a lot with it, but I thought it was kind of interesting, especially since Sims had talked about the embalming fluid. Like there is just like a little bit of, I want to say almost like pre-cyberpunk tech to it. Do you get what I mean?
almost steampunk."
Steampunk. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Murgoot, you've been on so many times you can translate Chloe into English. It's a vital
That's
skill.
what I was saying. Universal Monsters, mad scientist vibe all throughout those two stories.
Mm.
It's somebody rated Universal a lot.
What do you think of this? They wore all white. They're angels, and he denied them. What do you reckon? I'll get us a visual on for this.
I don't know. I don't know. That is
That's
a good
cool.
catch, but that's something to think about.
There is Adam Latara. Thank you so much again for the $2 there. Just to like spend a little time on your theory. We get really, really, really mixed symbolism here. Just I might stick on this a bit if you don't mind, Murgoot. Just
No problem.
as you said, there is that 1960s universal horror is in there. Especially, we've also got a Dr. Cushing, highly relevant because of if folk don't get it, Peter Cushing is an English actor known predominantly for sci-fi and horror, and especially for being in a large number of Hammer horror and also Amicus productions. A large number of the latter are anthologies, so we've covered a load of them. And Peter Cushing we saw very early on in this mega arc in Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, but we've seen him elsewhere as well. So the Cushing is obviously a reference to that. In this scene, we've got more of a medicalization here.
Mm-hmm.
But your man, Crazy K, he's basically in slave gear, right? Like he's just in a loincloth, right? He's being transported. There's a cage on him.
Black box strap.
Yeah, I mean, it looks kind of loinclothy, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah. So there is kind of slavery image here. I have no idea what those giant orbs in the back are, but you go out of this very sort of medical setting with also the slavery. You've also got the, how can I say, the fact they're in an elevator, the lights are going on and off. I got big Angel Heart vibes, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Now that I think about it, it's been a while since I've watched Angel Heart, but yeah, I
watched that recently. I had to skip some of the scenes with chickens, but that really impressed me. That was a great little movie. We've got that imagery. We come out of that, and you can say that's like a descent into hell as well. But it's also kind of like slave transportation ideas because of how he's dressed. And then you go into the weird sci-fi zone. So there's a huge mix of imagery here. Huge amount. It's hard to get a consistent reading. So could it be like they're angels that he denied them? I don't know, but is it a kind of soul in transport? With a kind, definitely. Is there this kind of idea that he's basically reduced himself, like he is kind of a slave in his own way? He's not escaped that because of his lifestyle. It's his lifestyle keeps him in basically in a slave state. Like he doesn't need the clan to be active. He's doing it himself. He's keeping himself down.
He's a slave to his own actions. And then the descent into the Dr. Frankenstein's lab meets Clockwork Orange rehab is just it's creepy. It kind of throws you off at first, and then it's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And it ends up working.
Yeah. So there's a fair bit going on there. Just when they're spinning around here, I really want to just like dub the Fresh Prince theme over it. Dun, dun, dun. What do you reckon on this question from Devonte? Who's written, I wondered what would have occurred had the killers not acted so high and mighty. Would Sims have let them cross over into the light and left them alone? What do you reckon?
No.
I'm inclined to agree.
No.
I think they're pretty doomed. Like they didn't get there by accident. I think they're already the fate was sort of sealed by the time they get in there, I think. Oh, excuse me, folks. That's my own cold catching up on me.
Adam loves horror. It's basically a Christmas story, more a Christmas carol, but all I can say is you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Oh, bless. Yeah. I'll get back to our since we're talking about the finale. I'll take us back to welcome to hell, my fine fellows. There's one of those things, Murgoot, like we see Mr. Sims in a full latex devil costume for like 3 seconds. How much do you think they spent on that? And he's on screen for 3 seconds in it.
I really don't know. It was at least 20,000 of the budget right there. But
yeah, I've been very complimentary about this film, but the hell scene is like possibly the bit where it just looks a bit bad. Like I noticed there are just like random hands waving. Shall I see if I can get that up, and I'll see if we can just see the hell scene.
Go for it.
I'm gonna risk it. Okay, I'll risk it. I'll play it at a very slow speed and see if I can get away with it. Okay. I'm going to risk this one. We might struggle with it. If I don't share the audio, we might be okay. But we're just going to, I'm going to have to fight this anyway. Let's see.
Fair use. Fair use.
Fair use, guys. Let's all type fair use in the chat, then we know. So this is your revelation here. Wait for it. Wait for it. Okay, apparently it does take a fair bit longer than I remembered here. I'm waiting for that serpent tongue. Any second, man. Come on. There we are. Ah. And it cut off. It's not even the right one. Gosh darn it. Don't you hate YouTube?
Switches over to Keith David, Tales from the Hood Part 2.
No hatred to Keith David there. I was hoping we'd get the hell transformation. Just there was some kind of there was some, how can I say, the flames in the background were sort of superimposed stock stuff. There was just clearly crew members just like waving their hands in front as if it's meant to be like the damned sort of reaching out in agony, but it kind of looked a bit like an Enya concert.
Yes, Dr. Prepper, that is the sequel where Keith David is the devil.
T has said Keith David did it better.
Well, it's the voice. Keith David's voice just carries it.
I mean, he's an actor I'm more familiar with, so, you know, it's got that going for it. But, okay, you'll have to, well, you can take my word for it, folks, but you can also watch the film. I'm sure you can get your hands on a copy of Tales from the Hood. You know, you've used the internet a while. I'm sure you can find it.
It's on YouTube for rent for $3.99 or $3.59 if you go for the DVD quality.
I would go for DVD quality. Definitely worth it. Yeah, the hell does look a bit janky. Like the Devontae is not down. Devontae is a big Clarence fan.
Yes, I've seen Lair of the White Worm.
Let me get that up.
Yes.
We haven't covered that.
Yep. It's it's another Bram Stoker classic, but this is a B movie rather than an A-level movie. She is hot, though. I gotta give her that. Wow.
Are we eventually going to do the stupid, sexy horror arc? One day. One day. You know what we'll do, like White Worm, we'll do the Elvira movie, we'll do Knock Knock, and what else? Species. Should we throw Species in there as well? How about it? Sorry, voice is not holding up today, guys. Let's get one of those images back on for us. People are wanting. Do you really? The trouble is, if we do the stupid, sexy horror, because there's a lot of horror which crosses over the erotic, and it's just. I just feel awkward. All right, I just feel a bit awkward. You know,
exclusive.
Maybe, like, I mean, do you want to be in that conversation? I turn to TCG and be like, "So, TCG, mate, how did that bumming work for you? You know, were you engaged? You know, do you want to have that conversation with him? I think it would be terribly awkward."
Well, considering he watches some of these with his wife and his son, I don't think.
Exactly. I couldn't do that to him. It would be terrible.
Oh.
As I said, Adam Loves Horror. We've spoken in comments about Knock Knock, which I think is a very interesting movie. I really want to spring that on one of our Lotus lads. I just want to know what it's one of those ones where I think they'll say it's a great movie, or they'll say it's an abominable piece of crap.
Yeah.
I just want to know how it turns out with them.
I still want to spring Serpent and the Rainbow on TCG and Harrion just for the one scene.
Oh, we can totally do that. We can totally do that soon. Where's Craven arc? Any second.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know. Maybe
you know
maybe
which scene I'm talking about, don't you?
No, it's been a while. So don't spoil it for me. Actually,
I'm not going to.
I basically have no memory of that film, so it's basically a watch for me. It's been that long, but we'll see. Where's I going with this? So yeah, the Hell transformation is a bit janky, but to be honest, the film itself has been so goofy that I can't complain. I can't complain at all. It is bombastic. It is extremely over the top. It's hilarious. They know exactly what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. It's a great morality play. The serious message, but not too serious of an execution. And
Yeah.
It does a good job of it.
Yeah, it's fair enough. It's a heck of a lot more balanced than anything we're getting these days. I have to say, is it propaganda? It's absolutely propaganda. Of course, it's propaganda. It's always propaganda. Yeah, this was 90s propaganda, and if we went back 20 years, it'd be 70s propaganda. The films of the time always carry the message. Never be surprised by this, folks. But it's a far higher quality of propaganda than we have now.
Yeah.
And I just, gosh darn it, I want more Clarence Williams III because he was having so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the end of Tales from the Hood. And it's a rather unforgettable ending, I've got to say.
I don't know. The last quote was great.
It's basically the same ending as the Tales from the Crypt first movie.
Yeah, well.
It's the same ending. I love it. Oh dear. You watch a few of these anthologies, you'll see that basically the wraparound stories do repeat a lot. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of all I had on this. Did you have anything else you want to say on Tales from the Hood?
Nope, it was an enjoyable film. I may as well talk about my score. I give it a good solid 8.5 burgers out of 12. Some cheese, some ketchup.
Just some cheese.
Put on a lazy Susan and spun round and round.
Centrifugal burgers. Yeah. How about this? What 8 is a pretty solid recommendation, right? That's a pretty solid recommendation.
Yeah,
I think. But I'm just wondering, like, if I wanted to get that up to 10 burgers, what would Rusty Cundiff have to do to get 2 burgers more from you?
Well, by the end, it looked like they were running out of budget on the special effects. Fixed some of the special effects. The third story, KKK comeuppance, make it a bit more subtle. Either that or turn it into a true comedy horror. Either way would work, not just the over the top, but too serious for its own good. And I'm trying to think. That's about it. That would get it to a solid 9 or a 10 for me.
Nice. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd happily see like the protesters against the guy be made more ridiculous. That would do the job for me. Maybe a little, like, I don't know. I think you could have done more with the dolls. Like, there's creep factors of like them scuttling under the ground or under the floorboards or stuff that you could have done, but
yeah,
I think those are fair complaints. Thank you very much, the NREAB, for dropping 10 memberships. Thank you so much. I see those are working their ways through the systems now. Oh, actually, you just inspired me to ask what the favorite segment was for this. So let's see how we do. I'm just going to call them segments 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to have to bear with me because I can't type the names out. I'll just get that going a bit while I do my review, and I'll see what you guys say. Massive thanks, the NREAB 10 memberships going out to people. If you have just got a membership, say thank you to the NREAB, you know, and go and enjoy some of the member exclusives. I dropped one. I think I said at the start, I dropped a member exclusive. Was it yesterday? 2 days ago? You see a little cheeky Easter egg going on in there. So thanks again, the NREAB. Let's see. I'm going to let that poll work through. and I'll do my own scores. And chat, if you've got your own scores, let it come through. It'd be fantastic to see those. As for my own,
Oh, memer.
yeah, I think it probably has to go. Oh, crikey. Oh, my goodness. The NRAB, you're very busy. Right, I'm going to do my my scores again. I'll get... Oh, we have... my score, I think I land exactly where you do, 8. I am extremely... maybe 8.5. It's very competent. Like, the script is better than usual. The camera work is ridiculously good for 1995 low budget. Really surprisingly gorgeous looking film. It's got, it's incredibly preachy, which is at least some kind of ambition. It's, there's a fair amount of the message I would quibble and disagree with. Mostly in the third one, I thought was the worst bit. The first, there's a fair bit more nuance. But this was balanced. This was coming from a position I'm not used to hearing. It didn't feel stock. It felt like a much more personal message, much more balanced, and giving a more complex, nuanced message than we get, which is a winner with me. So yes, it's preachy, but it wasn't terribly preachy. The humor was great. I really enjoyed its kind of goofy tone. And it had a lot of character. It had a lot of character to it. This has really got its own energy that helps it stand out. I wish I could remember what I gave Body Bags, because I feel like this needs to be like a burger more than that. But let's hope 8.5 does it justice. I'll switch it up in retrospect. And I think, as I said, the clear standout for me, Section 2. Section 2 was my favourite by a long way. Best story.
I'll agree on that one.
Yeah. But this was an absolutely pleasant surprise. I thought it might be just like a tiny bit of a cheesy mess that we would watch as a bit of a curiosity. I didn't know it was actually going to be really good. So yeah, very, very pleasant surprise. Chat is having some fun here.
Oh,
Chat. I appreciate the scores. I will remind people we use burger score around here. Gosh darn it. Oh dear. I did worry what the chat would be like for this film. I'm not going to lie, but you've been good, chat. You've been good. So yeah, there's my score. So you got an 8 and an 8.5. And forgive me, the YouTube back end's being a bit weird. In the time I was saying that, the Unrehab's gone and done an absolute blinder and dropped another 10. So I'm seeing 30 have been dropped. Is it 30? Crikey, they're all coming through
20
now.
so far, I think.
Okay, the back end is showing 30 either way. Very, very grateful. That is wonderful. That is, yeah, I don't know what's going on at the back end. Do forgive me. Well, and it's definitely 30 now. Crikey Moses. Thank you so much, the NREB. I can see they're all getting assigned out now. Luminek, folks, show your appreciation. Enjoy. Crikey, those are all going out. NREB, you're an absolute star. You're basically bankrolling the channel. Let's see, how is that poll doing? Sorry, the YouTube backend's a bit weird. I think people might have struggled to do the homework this week. I don't blame you. It was hard to get your hands on, but hopefully we've made the case it's worth it if you fancy something a bit lighter. I'm going to end the poll at 9 votes because it's the result I want. Remember, folks, this is how democracy always works. 66% agreeing. What? 66 agreeing that number 2 is the best. No big fans for number 3. Yes. And 1 and 4. Yeah, that's respectable. Interesting 4 coming A little bit behind 1. Never mind. Interesting. Yeah, 3 had potential. I think it's probably just that it was far, far too one-sided. And just something like the scale of the lynching exaggeration just worked against me there. I'll say, folks, to make sure I stay on the right side of Super Nanny, we're going to be out. We're going to be out for 2.5 hours. We're going to make it, guys. I believe in you. If you liked this, it's not exactly the same, but I would really recommend another recent anthology called The Mortuary Collection. You don't have Clarence Williams or Keith David, but you do have Clancy Brown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's recent. It's on Shudder. I'm sure you will be able to get your hands on it if you don't have a Shudder membership. But it was good. It's got a little bit of the message, but not too much at all. So very similar to this. It's got a little preaching, but mostly it's delivering good stories. And there are some really nice horror reference in-jokes for you that I think a lot of you guys will get now. So if you like Tales from the Hood, try the sequel. I can't vouch for them myself, but actually, Murgoot, would you recommend the sequel?
I haven't seen it in a while. Number 2 is Number 3 is better, but number 2 is okay.
Okay. We will say, since number 3 has Tony Todd, it's always going to be better. Okay, there you go. That's a recommendation. I saw someone saying skip 2 and go to 3. I can't vouch for myself, but worth a try. So if you want more like this, I'd strongly recommend try the sequels or try the Mortuary Collection. Those would be my recommendations. To make sure we get out on time, I will start. I will thank the NREAB for dropping another 10 memberships. You absolute star. There we go. It's Devonte is speaking up for Tales 3, and in my experience, Devonte's recommendations have been very good. So genuinely, I would recommend you listen to that. And let's go with the horror homework. We got the scores there. Just looking over what everyone else's scores were, because I do find it a bit hard when I'm doing my own to concentrate on them. So we've got an 8 out of 12. We've got a 6. We've got a 9. Nice. We got 7.5, 9. Quite a mixed score from Adam Loves Horror. I think that's coming out. Okay, 5 burgers for the first 3 stories, ending at a 9. Yeah. And liking the last segment the most. Yeah. Pretty respectable, to be honest. I can see why people would really like the last segment. All right. So a fair old spread of opinion on this one, but broadly appreciative. No one really going for like a 4 or a 3. All right. I'm chuffed with that. All right. Your homework for next week, folks. Your homework for next week is going to be Goosebumps. Probably. It's probably going to be the Goosebumps TV series. Might seem a little odd. Why can I not confirm it? One, might struggle to get our hands on it. So if it's way too difficult for us to get the episodes that we want to show you, we will do a bailout option. That bailout option will be Necronomicon from Brian Yuzna and Stuart Gordon. But mostly I want us to look over the Goosebumps TV show. It is in the 90s. It is fine. So I will be confirming that as soon as I can. Once I've seen how feasible it is, I'll confirm for definite. But hopefully we're having ourselves a fun time watching the old Goosebumps series for a bit of a laugh. But that is everything from me. Murgoot, any more to say, my friend?
I will be on that Crime Guys Friday community quiz tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, and it's 9 o'clock British time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good time for everybody. I mean, it's 2 teams versus the chat. So
Yes. Yeah, it is really great for chat. Like you get a chance to get in there. All right, yeah, lovely. Highly recommended. So there's the option for TCG's community quiz on his channel tomorrow night. I hope you enjoy it. Murgoot's links to follow, and you'll get a whole range of content recommended. His Twitter handle is in the description of the video. You've been fabulous, chat. I hope you've enjoyed this. This was a real pleasant surprise for me. Massive thanks, Murgoot.
you're welcome.
And I hope you feel better soon, mate. I hope we both do.
Oh, yeah.
And massive thanks to you, chat, and especially thanks to everyone. Very generous tonight. Thank you, the NRAB. Thank you, Dollface. Thank you, Animalist Horror. Much appreciated. I hope it, and that crime guy as well. Thank you so much. It's very much appreciated. With that, I will leave it there. Check out my Lotus Eater stream. I dropped the link in the chat. If you can't, look for Psychology of Horror. There you go. That's the last thing. I'll leave it there. All right. Have a good night, chat. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.